Hi, my name is Nigel Brockton. I'm the Vice President of Research at the American Institute for Cancer Research. At the American Institute for Cancer Research, we focus on diet, physical activity, and body weight as the prime exposures related to cancer incidence, cancer risk, and outcomes after a cancer diagnosis. And we fund projects across this whole spectrum. To give some examples, one of the projects is actually looking at high-intensity exercise to avoid what's known as chemobrain, so the cognitive impairment that happens in breast cancer, in some breast cancer patients during treatment, and how physical activity, and particularly intense physical activity, may actually be able to counteract that. Other projects looking at, for instance, the issue of dormancy. So in breast cancer, it's unfortunately quite common for breast cancer to be treated, to apparently disappear, only to recur several years later. So these are cells that have traveled to somewhere in the body, have gone into dormancy, and then something triggers them out of that. And one of the factors that's a candidate for doing that is actually a metabolite of cholesterol. So if we can understand that, then we can potentially avoid it and create strategies to reduce these cells coming out of dormancy and recurrence of breast cancer. We have projects looking at, for instance, a component of avocados. And when you see these studies that show an impact of a single food on a particular disease, you should rightly be suspicious. But we have very good preliminary data that for a particular type of leukemia, the amount from one avocado is enough to have an impact on the disease. So this was just too compelling a question for us to ignore. In fact, in the grant review panel, someone said, what if it's that simple? And this is just for one specific disease and one specific compound, but certainly worth following up. It's important to be open-minded and chase every lead. As well as funding research, we advocate for research, and we are particularly keen on some of the research looking at prehabilitation. So this is doing something in the window before someone's surgery to improve their outcomes after a diagnosis. So this is not cancer prevention in terms of reducing the cancer risk in the first place, but actually someone's diagnosed, how can we, right from the beginning, try to make their outcomes better? And that's to make them tolerate the surgery better, the treatment better, to hopefully have much better long-term outcomes. The other area that AICR, American Institute for Cancer Research, is committed to is actually analyzing the totality of the evidence to really reach that consensus and understand what we have strong evidence for. This is what our cancer recommendations, cancer prevention recommendations are based on, but that is an ongoing process. In fact, it's called the Continuous Update Project. It's been focused very much on cancer incidence to this point, and that's how we've come up with the evidence to support each of our recommendations. But over the next few years, in fact, this year we'll be repeating the cancer survivor report, looking at the factors that are associated with better outcomes, both in terms of cancer and overall survival, and then prostate and colorectal. So this is ongoing work, and the amount of evidence that's come out in the past 5-10 years on the survivorship aspect, people going through treatment and beyond treatment, has really given us the opportunity to be able to hopefully make some much stronger recommendations for those specific populations after diagnosis. So our work is certainly not done. There are many questions left to answer. In our grant program, each year we get 150 to 200 applications, which we then pare down to a smaller number. But these are all ideas. All of them have merit of some kind, and some of them we can't fund because there's just not enough money, but we try to give feedback that enables those ideas to be further developed. So then when they come back, these are projects that actually can really help answer some of the questions that need to be answered. So that's why it's not just for ourselves, but advocating for funding across the board, because if we don't fund it, potentially another organization will, and we just want the best science to be conducted and to support the scientists to do that.